بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما مزيدا وبعد. Before we start the khutbah, barakallahu feekum, move up inshallah please. أيها المؤمنون عباد الله, Allah Azza wa Jal have commanded us and have informed us in many places in the book of Allah and the Sunnah of the Prophet alayhi salatu salam of the importance of having an understanding of this religion and many ways and many incidents, and protecting ourselves from trials and tribulations. Many of us, illa ma rahima Allah, living in this non-believing country, are going through trials and tribulations as it relates to dealing with the kuffar. And many of us are going through trials and tribulations as it relates to how to deal with your Muslim brother or how to deal with your Muslim sister. And many of us from amongst the students in our locality are having trials and tribulation as it relates to how we should deal with one another and how we should protect and honor one another. And many of us are going through, do you still guard your corner or you guard the rights of Islam? Many amongst us are dealing with the trials and tribulations of disobeying Allah and being incarcerated, because from some people being incarcerated is the best moments that they have in their life, and it's a time to reflect and it's a time to get closer to Allah. But when they come out, those things that they are faced with and the problems that they are confronted with is a big discussion or big thing within themselves. أيها المؤمنون عباد الله, قال الله تعالى وأنزلنا إليكم ذكر لتبين للناس ما نزل إليهم لعلهم يتفكرون. Allah Azza wa Jal, He made mention in His glorious book that we have sent down to you the dhikr, the Qur'an and the Sunnah, so that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam can clarify to the people those things or the information that have been revealed into him. And perhaps they're going to be amongst the individuals that reflect. So therefore, it's upon all of us to reflect on the statement of the Prophet alayhi salatu salam, من يريد الله به خيرا يفقهه في الدين. Whoever Allah wants good, He gives them the understanding of this religion. And if He don't want good for you, He don't give you the good of the understanding of this religion. The Prophet ﷺ informs us, as it comes in the silsila ahadith sahiha, and the meaning more or less is that Allah Azza wa Jal give the dunya to whoever He wants, whether it's a Muslim or kafir. But if Allah Azza wa Jal loves you and want good for you, He give you the understanding of this religion. أيها المؤمنون عباد الله, it's upon us to have the understanding of this religion. And what is the fiqh fi deen? It is to have this fahm. It is to have the understanding. That is the fiqh بأحكام الله الواردة في كتاب وسنة رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, to have the understanding of the Islamic jurisprudence based on the Kitab and the Sunnah of the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام. قال الله عز وجل في كتاب كريم لولا نفر من كل فرقة منهم طائفة ليتفقهوا في الدين وينذروا قومهم إذا رجعوا إليهم لعلهم يحذرون. Allah may mention in Surah At-Tawbah, let there be a group from amongst you that stay behind and educate the people while the other peoples go out for jihad, defending Islam. Let there be a small amongst the people that stay and learn the religion of Allah Azza wa Jal. So when those other people come back, they can what? They can warn them. They can warn them, or they can give them some type of insight. Ayyuhal mu'minun ibadallah, we have been tried, and we're going to be tried until Allah Azza wa Jal take our breath from us. Allah Azza wa Jal tries us in many ways. قال الله تعالى في كتاب كريم إنما أموالكم وأولادكم فتنة والله عندهم أجر عظيم. Allah Azza wa Jal says, really, no doubt about it, that your wealth and the children that you have are trials and tribulation for you. So therefore, be aware of this fitna, because the true reward is with Allah. By you implementing the Kitab and the Sunnah as it relates to your wealth and your children, Allah Azza wa Jal will reward you if you are patient and you are diligent in educating them and using that wealth that Allah have given you in the right means. قال الله تعالى في كتاب كريم يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تهلكم أموالكم ولا أولادكم عن ذكر الله ومن يفعل ذلك فأولئك هم الخاسرون. Allah Azza wa Jal informs us of the true losers. They are not only the ones that commit shirk with Allah and the ones that disbelieve in Allah Azza wa Jal and the ones that fall into innovation and call people to innovation, but the true losers outside of them, and these are the main true losers, they are the losers that do not know how to spend their wealth and deal with their children. Allah Azza wa Jal says, oh, you who believe, do not let your children and your wealth turn you from the remembrance of Allah. That's the highlighting point. Do not let this wealth or your children turn you or divert you from the remembrance of Allah. Do not let this sidestep you, turn you away from your true purpose and educating your children and spending their wealth in the cause of Allah. Do not let this earning this money and the children that you have turn you away from Kitab and Sunnah. Because whoever does that, then these are the individuals, they are the true losers in society. And the true losers with Allah Azza wa Jal. قال الله تعالى في كتاب كريم قل إن كان آباءكم وأبناءكم وإخوانكم وأزواجكم وعشيرتكم وأموالكم. Allah Azza wa Jal informs us, say, if your fathers and your children and your brothers and your wives and your family and the money that you love. And he goes on and says, وَتِجَارَةُ تَخْشَوْنَا كَسَادُهَا وَمَسَاكِينَ تَرَضَانُهَا أَحَبَّ إِلَيْهِ مِنَ اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ وَجِهَادٍ فِي سَبِيلِهِ فَتَرَبَّصُوا حَتَّى يَأْتِيَ اللَّهُ بِأَمْرِهِ وَاللَّهُ لَا يَهْدِي قَوْمًا فَاسِقِينَ. And if you're buying and you're selling, you fear a decline in it. And the masakeen, the poor and the needy people, are more beloved to you than Allah and His Messenger, and fighting in His cause, then be patient until Allah brings His punishment to you. Be patient. If you're going to let your children and your wealth or fighting in the cause of Allah is more beloved to you than Allah and His Messenger, and fighting in His cause, then be patient. Allah is going to punish you severely. if you allowed your children or your wealth or your job, because sometimes our job, we're so wrapped up in our job, we let the salat go out. Meaning we miss the jama'ah. We miss the congregation and salat. The salat have not went out, but we missed it because we are so busy about trying to get this money. If you are a governor of a state and it occupies you so much that you miss the congregational prayer, is that governor of that state or that location more beloved to you than making a salat in the congregation? Then Allah is going to punish you. If your wives and your children are more beloved to you than making salat in congregation, missing it, are more beloved to you, then Allah is going to punish you. You have to be what? Don't let your wives and your money divert you from the remembrance of Allah, from any form. And one of the greatest form is making salat. And the woman, she's going to dictate to you. Oh, I need this, and I need that, and I need this. You got to say, hold up. I get that when I get back. I have to make the salat in congregation. Oh, won't you stay home? No, I got to go out and make money for my children so they can have a good education. Well, you never spend time with me. Well, I'm working. Do not let your wives and your children divert you. And do not let your jobs and your governor of different places divert you from the remembrance of Allah. Because if you do that, if it's more beloved to Allah and His messenger and fighting in His cause, then Allah got something waiting for you. For me and you and everyone else. So we're going to be tested with these things. Allah Azza wa Jal informs us, مَرَّ أَوْلَادِكُمْ بِالصَّلَاةِ وَهُمْ أَبْنَاءَ السَّبْعِ وَضَرَبُوهُمْ عَلَيْهِمْ وَهُمْ أَبْنَاءَ عَشْرَةٍ وَفَرَّقُوهُمْ بَيْنَ فِي الْمَضَاجِعِ. The Prophet ﷺ told us to teach the children how to make the salat, the shurut. Teach them the condition of the salat. وَأَرْكَانِهَا, and the pillars. وَوَاجِبَاتِ. Teach them about the salat when they are 7. And beat them when they are 10. And separate the beds. Teaching your children about being obedient to Allah Azza wa Jal and establishing things that Allah Azza wa Jal is pleased with is a trial within itself. It's a trial within itself. If we spend more time and more effort with other things than raising our children and raising our wives, then how can we build a strong Islamic community based on the people being obedient to Allah? How? So Allah Azza wa Jal, He's going to test us with our children. And how many amongst us see and bear witness to the trials that goes on in our house? We're not concerned about teaching them the salat, but we're concerned about teaching them how to get to one satellite station to the next. How to play this game and how to do that and how to do this instead of how to pick up the book of Allah. How many amongst us from our children, you don't have to tell them they have the initiative because it have been instilled in them to pick up the book of Allah and to read the book of Allah. And how many amongst our children, they spend hours on a computer? More than 10 hours. And how many times you picked up the book of Allah and tried to read the book of Allah? And how many amongst the fathers? The fathers, every day, take out time to teach their children. Take out time to read the book of Allah with their wives. Their wives are giving them problem. Do you pick up the book of Allah? Because the Qur'an is a cure for everything. You have problem with your wives. You have problem with your children. We're running away from the cure. That's the book of Allah. And that's the implementation of it. So we're going to be tested with them. Allah Azza wa Jalla also says, وَنَبْلُكُمْ بِالشَّرِّ وَخَيْرِ فِتْنَةٍ وَإِلَيْنَا تُرْجَعُونَ. Allah Azza wa Jalla informs us that we're going to be tested with good and evil. In our communities, we're going to be tested with good and evil. You have good people, you have bad people. We're going to be tested from amongst the Muslims and the non-Muslims. وَقَالَ تَعَالَى فِي كِتَابِ الْكَرِيمِ وَجَعَلْنَا بَعْضَكُمْ لِبَعْضٍ فِتْنَةً تَصْبِرُونَ وَكَانَ رَبُّكَ بَصِيرًا. Allah Azza wa Jalla says that from amongst that brother and that brother is going to be trials and tribulations. And we have made from amongst yourselves, from amongst the brothers, a trial and tribulation. Are you not going to be patient? How many amongst us, from amongst the community, that if you are the imam of this community, or the imam of any other community, from years, it have been the common, it have been adi from amongst us, that the people get close to the imam. And in getting closer to the imam, this is ways to destroy their family, and this is ways to destroy the community, and this is ways to destroy the relationship with the other tulab and the other people that are teaching the book of Allah. And this is what has happened in our community. People have come up time after time and asked you the indirect questions, and then they take it back to the other person. You know, so-and-so said that about you. This is the trials and the tribulations that Allah has placed amongst us. So to see which one is going to protect themselves from this trials and tribulation. Which one is going to have the fiqh of the religion? To know every person that come and ask you a question, think before you answer that question. The shaitan might have sent them to test you. Are you going to save the community from splitting and dividing? And how many amongst us have seen it in our marriage? Look, in our marriage, we are sorry Muslims as it relates to this. Allah has given us the best religion. And that's the book of Allah and Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ is the best guidance. But yet we don't adhere to it. Look at our marriage situation. You talking about building communities? We're destroying them 10 times before we even start trying to build them. The Islamic or the jurisprudence ruling as it relates to a woman that's married and she have children and she get divorced, now she want to remarry, or she want to get married to someone else. She want to get married to someone else. That the general ruling is that those children go to the father. That's the ruling. If he's Muslim, it go to the father. Then why is it that in 90% of our cases, or 85% of our cases, that those children, they stay with the woman, and we, the leaders of the community and the ones that are marrying them women, get married to those women? We're not opening our doors for a bunch of trials and tribulations. So when she slipped behind your back and called the ex-husband, that's your fault. When she go and drop her children off to the ex-father, that's your fault. Where's the ghira? Where's the jealousy? And if you are still attached to that man, then leave me. But rather is the obligation of the leaders of the community and the men that are marrying these women not to marry these women. Stop it. Get that involved. Get that straightened out first. But do you notice it's always a question? Well, he's disobedient and he's this and he's that. Okay. فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Ask the people of knowledge before you get married those questions. And make sure you ask the question. There's no trickery in it. There's no deception in it. Make sure you have ikhlas when you're asking that question. This is our situation. The other thing that we have been tested with as it relates to this is our desires in these affairs. And inshallah ta'ala we will get to it. Bi'idhnillah. So the highlighting point, Allah is going to test us some people from amongst the community, they're not going to be able to get along with one another. But it's upon us to have the understanding of this religion and know how to protect ourselves from these trials and tribulations. That's the highlighting point. وقال الله تعالى في كتاب الكريم وكذلك فتنا بعضهم لبعض ليكونوا هؤلاء من الله عليهم من البينات أليس الله بعالم بالشاكرين. That Allah Azza wa Jal, He has placed this trial and tribulation in your life. And that is, likewise, we have tested the poor people with the ones that have money. And when they come to them, call Allah, call Rasul, they say, you want me to submit to that? You poor, you. That's how Allah had placed the trials and tribulations in our lifestyles. That person is poor, but that person have money. And he called them back to the book of Allah and the Sunnah of the Prophet. And that person says, you want me to accept that from you? وَكَذَلِكَ فَتَنَّا بَعْضُكُمْ بَعْضَهُمْ لِبَعْضٍ لِيَكُونَ هَؤُلَاءِ مَنَّ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِمْ مِنْ بَيِّنَاتٍ. Allah gave you that and didn't give me, and I have the money and I have the riches. Allah gave it to me, the money and the wealth, and you supposed to direct me to that which is true? Man, get out of here. We don't witness that. That's in Surah An'am, the 53rd ayat, and also a similar ayah in Surah Taha, 131st ayah. Allah Azza wa Jalla is going to test you with your wealth and your provisions. Like we said, the Prophet ﷺ says, Allah give the dunya to whoever He wants, whether it's a kafir or a believer. But if He loves you, He gives you the understanding of this religion. The other thing that Allah Azza wa Jalla is going to test us with, as it relates to that, it is the adherence to the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. One day, as it says, Rabi' ibn Sariyah radiyallahu anhu, he said that the Prophet ﷺ gave him a admonishment, and it's as though it was a farewell admonishment. And he admonished them good, so much that tears start to come from their eyes. And they knew the seriousness of this admonishment. And they asked the Prophet, Awsikum. The Prophet said, they said, Awsina. They said, advise us. So the Prophet said, Awsikum bitaqwallah. I admonish you and advise you to fear Allah Azza wa Jal, wa sam'a wa ta'a, and to hear and to obey to the leaders. When ta'amma alaykum abd, even if a abd command you to do something, فَإِنَّهُمْ سَيَعِيشُ مِنْكُمْ, and whoever lives from amongst you, the highlighting point, you're going to see much differences. You're going to see a lot of difference. So what is the key to remove ourselves from this state? فَعَلَيْكُمْ بِالسُنَّةِ وَسُنَّةِ خُلَفَاءِ الرَّاشِدِينَ. That I command you to cling and to adhere to the Sunnah, my Sunnah, and the guidance or the Sunnah of the Khulafa al-Rashideen, Mahdiyin. And he says, bite down, addu alayha, bite down on it with your moled teeth. Don't let it go. Because if you let it go, you're going to fall into the realms or the circles of many differences. You might destroy yourself. You might destroy your family because you're going to turn away from Kitab and Sunnah. So we have been tested in our day and time with the blame excuse is from the minhaj of Ahl Sunnah to pray behind every fajr and bir, every good and righteous imam. That's true. But why do you take your deen from 58th Street? Why you're taking your religion from that man and he is mocking the people that you're taking your religion from? Why? Didn't Sheikh Muqbil rahimahullah ta'ala says it's better for you to go out a long distance and to pray with the Salafis? And we have people just spreading confusion. We don't see them no more. But rather, when we see them, we become weak for them. We supposed to be following Kitab and Sunnah, we become weak for them. And we give them all of the demands that they ask for. For example, to marry our women. For example, if they need financial aid. Okay, no problem. Financial aid, you can. But to marry your woman, or to marry your daughters, or to marry your mothers, and they don't come around the Salafis, you're going to be tested with your minhaj. So are you going to cling to it? Or are you going to run away from it? Within that, you're going to find problems. The Prophet ﷺ says, فَإِنَّ خَيْرَ الْحَدِيثِ كِتَابُ اللَّهِ وَخَيْرَ الْهَدِي هُدَى مُحَمَّدٍ صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة. The highlighting point is that the best speech or the best guidance is the book of Allah, and we know. And the best guidance is that of the Prophet ﷺ. So in our belief, in our action, in our speech, we have to make sure that everything is clinging to that. The Prophet ﷺ also says, ستفترق هذه أمة على 73 فرقة كلهم في النار لا واحدة. قيل يا رسول الله ما هي تلك الفرقة؟ قال الجماعة وفي رواية ما أنا عليهم يوم وأصحابي. He says the ones that adhere to what I am upon and my companions. So therefore, do not take it as a classroom text and that it should be only studied inside a class, but rather study it, believe in it, and implement it, and carry it wherever you go. Because the people are going to split, and they are splitting within ourselves. We have people even committing division amongst us. We have people backbiting, that's division. We have people spreading rumors, that's division. We have people trying to dishonor people, that's division. We have people taking the blood of another Muslim, that's division. We have to adhere to Kitab and Sunnah in totality. How are we going to be saved from this? If we're not saved from the beginning, from the things that allowed us to fall into shirk, how are we going to be aware of the things that are lesser than that? Don't you know you're going to be tested with falling into shirk? And we have a lot of the Muslims posing on Facebook. The origin of pictures is shirk, like the people of Noah. They set up statues to remember the righteous people, but Shaitan tricked them. When they forgot their purpose, he commanded that generation to worship those idols. What about pictures? Look at the Facebook, search for people names, and you see all types of pictures. People posing with women, people posing with their wives, people posing with their daughters. So we're going to be tested with shirk. So anything other than that, you know you're going to be tested. So be aware of these tests. The only way that we can save ourselves is by having an understanding of this religion. By having an understanding of this religion. Also, we're going to be tested with obeying the kuffar. قال الله تعالى وَإِن تُطِعْ أَكْثَرَ مِنْ فِي الْأَرْضِ يُضِلُّوكَ عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. And if you follow majority of the people on the earth, you're going to go astray. If you follow majority of the people on this earth, you're going to be amongst the people that are astray. Because أَكْثَرَهُمْ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ. Majority of them don't believe. So therefore, we have to have the understanding of this religion in order to protect ourselves from these trials and tribulations. Bismillah wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah wa ba'd. أيها المؤمنون عباد الله. If you look inside of our community and you look outside of our community, we are being tested. The most and foremost thing that we have to learn is that we have to learn shirk and its various shades, and tawheed and its division, and implement it in our lifestyles, and call the people to this. And call the people to this. Calling the people to the names of Allah. Like Ar-Rahman. Explaining what's the meaning of Ar-Rahman. Explaining the meaning of Allah. Explaining the meaning of Al-Basir, Al-Sami'. Explaining these names so that they can know Allah Azza wa Jal. And so that they can implement it. Why? Because many amongst us, we say that we study Tawheed, but at nighttime you take off your jilbab and you run to the nightclub and you dance. So where's your understanding that He is لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٌ وَهُوَ السَّمِيعُ الْبَصِيرُ, that He's the all-hearing and the all-seeing. وَكَانَ عَلَيْكُمْ رَقِيبًا, and He's ever watchful over you. And also in Surah Al-Fajr, that verily your Lord is a watcher over you. Where's the understanding? Where's the understanding that when we're dealing with our business, our buying and selling, that we have to have sincerity and be honest and not to deceive anyone? Where's our understanding that Allah Azza wa Jalla is going to test you on your wealth? Allah is not pleased with you just giving something that you, just giving something, but Allah tests you and see if you're going to give those things that you really love. You really love. Okay, someone asks you something, okay, you give them this. But the thing that you really love, you won't give them that. You're going to be tested. Example, a small example, your children have 2 toys. Or your children have 2 Islamic books. The same topic. Or the same subject. The beat up one you give them and the nice one you take. Abdurrahman ibn Auf, he had wealth. He had wealth. In order for him to leave Mecca and to be with the Prophet ﷺ and practice Islam the way it was revealed, he had to give up all of his wealth in Mecca to be with the Prophet. That was a stipulation or condition that the Kuffar Mushrikeen gave him in order to leave Mecca. You got to leave that wealth behind. Allah Azza wa Jalla informs us in Surah Al-Hashr that the Ansar, they gave up what they love. Abdurrahman ibn Auf, he came and the Prophet directed him to be with a particular individual. He said, choose which wife you want. I'll divorce her. He didn't say, you know, she's been giving me problems lately. Right here. This one is suitable for you. This is what we do in our Muslim community. This is what we do. This is what we firmly upon. And we don't have no shame about it. Deceiving. From the top to the bottom, we don't know how to treat one another. So we expected trials and tribulation in our life. We don't give up those things that we dare. We don't give it up. A Muslimah, she accepts Islam. You give her that khimar that a little spot of bleach good on, but you don't give up your Yemeni Hodi khimar. You don't give up that khimar that you paid $25, $30 for. You got 2 refrigerators. You give up your one that's about to go out on bomb. You don't give up your new one. This is how we interact with one another. And we expect the good. We expect Allah to give us understanding of this religion. We're not saying that people should bum off you. No, but if they in need, give. Because Allah is testing us. Allah is testing us. Have the understanding of this religion. For these women that are destroying the community, the men that are destroying the community, be wise from Kitab and Sunnah. All of these marriages that is wiping away, don't want to have the brothers fighting and stabbing one another. Don't marry the woman and have children. And be sure. Is this her third divorce? She can't go back. Well, oh, so that's why she want to marry me. Okay, yeah, I see. No. That woman crying to you, they know you're married? Oh, well, I'm not asking for maintenance. Allah says, الرجال قوامون على النساء. He didn't say النساء. That the men are maintainers and protectors of women. Why? Because of the virtue that He has placed you over them. And because of the wealth that you spend from them. Don't marry them. You're not kidding. Don't marry them. Allah is going to test us with our desires. Allah is going to test us with our stomachs. And the Muslims are eating any type of way. They are wasting their money and wasting your wealth, wasting water, wasting anything. It's from the brothers of Shayateen. We are a wasteful community. During Ramadan, we waste. During Ramadan, we're stingy. You got a box of dates. Your brother come in, you don't say nothing. You don't rush to give him a date. You don't rush to give him water. Box is over there. You just sitting there, everybody sitting, eating their own. The origin to be successful is to be collectively together in everything. The Prophet ﷺ even demonstrated in lining up the rows. And lining up the rows. So why are we going through these trials and tribulations? Because we don't want the understanding of this religion. We want to play with this religion. We want to jeopardize other people's lives. We want to kill Muslims. Because in some incidents, this is what's happening. Muslims are pulling out guns on one another. And if you know it's a dispute between two Muslims, don't shop around for answers to divide the Muslim further. And this is what we do in our community. From the woman to everything else. And you get in class, you wonder why we're still what? You got 5 people in this masjid that can teach the other side than the main imam on the masjid. You don't got nobody. Nobody can teach a new class. No one can teach the alphabet. Nobody. So the thing is, we're going to have these things in our lives until we die. But when we have the understanding of this religion, we know how to push it away based on Kitab and Sunnah in the right way, using wisdom. We know how to deal with brothers. We know how to deal with sisters. We know how to deal with disobedient people. We know how to deal with righteous people. We know how to deal with the kuffar. We know how to deal with everybody because Allah revealed it for us. And if you don't know after 15 years, after 20 years, after 3 years, after 5 years, then Allah don't want good for you because you don't want it for yourself. Look at our communities. We're still begging one another for establishing a masjid. That's a clear That's a clear point. But do we allow our houses to be like that? You take a masjid that you go to. Every single time you go to, that same faucet is still leaking. The Muslim plumbers or the electrician or whatever, they can't come in the house of Allah and fix up something. I ain't saying take away your livelihood. The house of Allah, we can't fix it up. The house of Allah, this is the life. We'll feed our bellies, but we won't put money in the tzedakah box. We'll write a check for all of this fancy stuff for our wife, but we won't put nothing on the masjid. We'll write all of this money for all of these kuffar by our mother when she's sick. We don't do nothing because we ain't striving to have an understanding of this religion. We want problems in our life. We want Allah to triple it and quadruple it because this is what we love. We love confusion. أيها المؤمنون عباد الله من يريد الله به خير يفقهه في الدين. Whoever Allah wants good, then He give them the understanding of this religion. I ask Allah Azza wa Jal to give us the understanding of this religion in belief, in actions, and in speech. Wa sallallahu alayhi wa nabiyina Muhammad wa alayhi wa sallam.